Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political. I'm here with Amanda Cumming, who does the. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you being on the show. First, let me ask you, how is your show going? What are some of the things you guys have been covering?
Well, we've been covering a lot about media lately and kind of how skewed some of it seems to be. We actually didn't record like normal last week. We ended up doing like a segment every day, as opposed to usually record kind of everything at once and then just release it throughout the week. But I don't know, our brains were not in the right place for some reason. But you should still watch it even though our brains weren't in the right place because it's awesome. Am I plugging this well enough? I don't know.
Watch my show. My brain's not in the right place.
You'll love it. Trust me.
No, I can identify with that. I've noticed, one, the last couple of weeks just of being very busy, and two, all of the stuff with Syria, and we'll get into that. It's been sort of hard to sit down and focus about this because all of the news coming in is it's surreal, and it's hard to just sort of talk about it or report on it like it's just some, bill that should be passed or whatever, because it's not. So, I mean, we should just get right into it. The thing that I'm so baffled by, but actually not baffled by, because is the media, specifically CNN and MSNBC, are like pro-war.
Right.
And when the missile attack happened, like Tucker Carlson was the only guy saying, "What are we doing?"
Yeah, Tommy Lauren too.
Yeah, which is
great.
It's like these two people that I probably disagree with on 99.9% of every word that comes out of their mouths. I was like, It shows you how crazy the media is. So what is your reaction to that, and what you've watched over the last week or 2 weeks, I guess it's been, maybe, since the attack?
Well, I mean, going back to your point about being kind of having some sort of difficulty reporting even on it, is because we don't have all the facts available to us to be able to make an informed decision about exactly what's going on there. Because you have our mainstream media obviously skewing some events. We've got some facts on the ground that aren't necessarily being covered here, but we can get it through alternative sources, such as there's a wasp about to come into my window, but like with what was that agency that was going to go in to try to assess these sites, but we bombed right before they were able to do that. Do you remember what the agency was?
I forget, but yeah, I did a story. There was a yes, and this article came from this British reporter, The Independent. He's a reporter for The Independent. He was there on the ground right after it happened, and I forget the organization too, but he was talking to people in that city, and they were like, no, people came to the hospital because of, I forget the term, but it's oxygen deprivation from the tunnel system because of all the bombing. There's basically like dust in the air, and there's literally a lack of oxygen. And and they came in, and then the white helmets just ran in and said gas poisoning, and started pouring water on people. And so it's hard, like you say, it's hard to. And then the French are like, well, we have concrete evidence, but the French were part of the bombers, so I just can't believe anything the three bombing countries have to say.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult, especially when you were supposed to have an independent agency come in to assess the situation. And lo and behold, we had to bomb right before they were going to be there to assess it. It's like, could we not have waited a certain amount of time? I mean, we didn't have to immediately react. I think that because of this, I mean, again, with our mainstream media here, let's not pretend that things aren't being controlled by the American oligarchs. They all know each other, even if they don't have a direct, what's the word that I'm looking for here? They don't have a direct profit motive, for instance, or they don't directly benefit. Well, you know what, their best friend does, or a family member of theirs does. So, I mean, they all talk to each other. They probably get together. And I know this is very conspiratorial of me, and I don't really like to go down that road, but we've played this game before. This was the Iraq War, you know, and who was it that was helping perpetuate these stories to the citizens here so that they could get behind the war? Well, it was the media.
Yeah.
And it's just like, guys, have we not learned from less than a few years ago, for heaven's sakes? You know, I mean, yes, I was in high school when the Iraq War started, so I didn't really get to have any amount of influence whatsoever. I barely even knew what was happening, but I remember it well enough and thinking at the time, like, this doesn't seem right. You know, this doesn't seem right at all from what little media I consume, maybe because I didn't consume that much media at the time, that I wasn't as influenced as, say, my parents were. But I don't think my parents were really thinking it was an okay venture either. You know, I never asked them.
You know, I gotta say, I don't actually think it's very conspiratorial on your part, because there's just too much. There's too much concrete evidence. You know, I mean, these companies benefited from the first fake regime change war.
Right.
It's just follow the money. Oh, well, this person was on the board of this company, and this, like, it's not outlandish. It's not, you know, and that's, I think part of it is the mainstream and the corporate media and the neoliberals in particular try to lump any of us into this sort of Alex Jones lizard people world, you know, because they're
right.
like, well, Alex Jones thinks it's a bad idea, so does Tommy Lahren and Tucker Carlson. So you guys are lining up. It's like, I don't, you know, a broken clock's right twice a day. I mean, if I agree with these people on one thing, it
right.
doesn't suddenly make me a Fox News pundit.
Yeah, it's just insane. It's like, can I not just be an independent thinker and, like, use whatever resources or whatever information I have available to me to make an informed decision? Because I can tell you right now, if any, you know, I think I told you about my background being in science and academia. Well, we don't jump to conclusions. We have to do testing and have to, you know, based off of the literature we have, and then anything new we have, you know, to say about it, we have to have evidence to support it. And to support our conclusions for that particular research. So why can we not have evidence to support this? Well, let's treat it as research that we didn't even get to conduct because they went ahead and bombed in the first place. Okay, that's suspect. Second of all, why is it that the UN, you know, when Russia went and said, hey, can we have an independent body of people look at the situation, and then they threw out that resolution? And they just said, no, we're not going to do that. Why did the UN do that? You know, I mean, that baffles me too. I mean, if I was, you know, I'm not saying that there's anything, I don't know what the deal is with Russia, and I'm not going to, like, excuse whatever human rights abuses that they have done. But at the same time, we need to be objective here and take an objective approach to the situation, and not because America controls everything. I mean, how many, we have done human rights abuses ourselves. We do we use chemical warfare against our own citizens in the States. And we're going to turn around and look at other countries and be like, haha, look at you guys. Well, you know what? We do that against innocent protesters here. And nobody sanctions us. Nobody comes and bombs us.
Yeah. How come Syria and Russia didn't bomb us for tear gassing water protectors at Standing Rock?
Right.
There's people drinking contaminated water to this day in Flint, Michigan. We spent, just the Americans, $130 million on rockets for that strike. $165 million total from all three countries, right? But we obviously did the lion's share of the bombing. That $130 million could fix Flint's water problem that has been going on for 2 years.
Easily could fix it. Not to mention in Chicago.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many. I think I'm getting some feedback. There's so many things that are just. Chelsea Manning posted on Twitter She's like, does Syria and Russia get to bomb, and I forget the cities, but the 2 chemical weapons plants we have in the United States, like one's in Colorado and one's in another state, do they get, because they're chemical weapons plants?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the hypocrisy is preposterous. And then I hear people on the left, like, I expect this kind of crazy war shit from the right, but the left is just so crazy bloodthirsty, and then they're just like, well, they meddled in our election. Okay, well, the DNC meddled in the primary.
But that's conspiratorial, sorry.
Oh, right. I'm a wingnut if I like that. Right.
Right.
But
it's like we have more evidence to support DNC and DCC meddling in the primaries than we do with Russia meddling in the overall election. And that's too conspiratorial for you. It just whatever narrative people want to go with, they will go with it. If it justifies their belief system, they will go with it, regardless of the facts that you have available. Which is why it's very important to have scientists be like, let's take an objective approach, everybody, even though everybody doesn't listen to them. Sorry, I'm a bit tangential today. It's been a long day. Just started, but still.
Well, it's an excellent point of just like sticking to the facts, and nobody wants to do this. Like, I'm not excusing, like you're saying, any things that awful or that Putin has done. He's not like some pacifist, but
no.
Neither are we. I don't know how America can take the moral high ground, and I'm just so...
We can't.
For anything.
No, we can't. I mean, we can't do any of that, and to pretend otherwise means that you're willfully ignorant. At this point, I really just, maybe it's, I feel like there's obviously a huge connection here. There's a reason why they have defunded our public education system. It's so that we don't have critical thinkers in the country. It's very easy to manipulate people that don't think critically. There's also a reason why people want to infuse religiosity back into the classroom, specifically a Christian-based religion, because it does have this patriarchal, hierarchical, authoritarian type of religion that's in the background, infused in this, and it creates structure and hierarchy where you are supposed to follow whomever's the head of your household, whoever's the head of your state, and so on and so forth. And if you question that, then you are somehow a bad person. You're anti-American, you're anti-Christian, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's all connected here. And I feel like this is intentional. It's intentional. They want stupid citizens.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely intentional. They want us divided and misinformed and not paying attention. I mean, they really... So if they hope really that none of us pay it, they really want us, mad about some sports team or some Kardashian type, celebrity controversy, some dumb thing like that. And then if we do pay attention to politics, they just want us to pay attention to the political narrative that they feed us. And they don't want anyone asking any real questions. And it's really, there was one guy on MSNBC, and I believe Jimmy Dore showed a clip of him. And let me see if I can just grab his name real quick. But it was really, anyway, he was on MSNBC and he was saying this is ridiculous. And
I think I remember seeing that clip.
Yeah. And he said, we started this Syrian, this ridiculous Syrian regime change war in 7 years ago.
Right.
And we have no legal basis to do any of this. There's no concrete evidence. And
but it's not really about that, right?
No.
It's about our interests.
Right.
It's never about anyone else's. It's not about, even if they did commit human rights abuses against their own citizenry, it's never about that. We're not, poking into some other country that does that. Because it's not in our interest to do so. They don't have oil for us. They don't have, they're not, it's infuriating. Yeah. And it's more infuriating when we've played this game before, when we've been here. And then people just are like, but still. I'm like, no. There's no but here. This is very similar to what happened before, except this time it wasn't we're not saying that it's a war.
Right.
I think that's really the only distinction, right?
And it's crazy because we're, first of all, the humanitarian, he's committing atrocities, and then we're lining up with actually Al-Qaeda and ISIS forces against Assad. So what happened to the global war on terror? Oh, we just line up with whoever fits us because we want a pipeline with the Saudis. That's what this is. The Russians and the Iranians have their pipeline that's going to go through Syria, that's going to feed Western Europe, and we want our pipeline to go through. And that's what this is about. And and Assad's been like, no, I'm not going to give you this pipeline. So now and maybe Assad is not a good person and has done awful things, but it's just preposterous how we just come in and say, and there's no, in the major news organizations, the New York Times, Washington Post, they were saying based on alleged gas attacks. They're saying it. The corporate media is saying alleged gas attacks. That's all we need for evidence? So I think you have an alleged meth lab. So I'm going to just send a SWAT team to kick in the door of your apartment.
Hey, they do that all the time.
I know. It's preposterous for me. So before we wrap up here, let me ask you this. What can people who are watching this who feel is sort of overwhelmed, what do you think, what is the short-term and sort of long-term plan that people could use to help us get out of this endless war cycle?
Short-term and long-term plan. That's a great question that I don't necessarily have an answer to, because it seems like for as long as I can remember, we've been at war with somebody. And so I just think that we have an obligation to not be so comfortable in our own lives, right? A lot of it is just like, they swept it under the rug, or it's just like out of sight, out of mind, and I'm hoping that people will at least pay attention. I would obviously recommend anybody to just go outside of Western media to see what other sources are saying about the situation, because obviously the more information you have at your disposal, again, the better informed you can be, the better you can be at making the right decision that you're comfortable living with. And I think that's, at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable with yourself and the decision that you're making. It's hard. I mean, I want to believe that had we elected the right person, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. And again, if you have all of the if you have all the cards in the deck stacked against you and everything trying to assure that that person doesn't come into power, I don't know. Run for office yourself? I know that that's also very daunting, but people that necessarily are good-hearted people that hate seeing these things happen, what other choices do we necessarily have? Mm-hmm. Because right now we have elected, because psychopathy is very much rewarded in our society, and those are the people that are running the show right now. They have absolutely no care for anyone but themselves, and I guess their progeny, which is what psychopaths do care about, is their progeny, but outside of that, we do need to get some good-hearted people into office and assure that they, stay there. If they get overwhelmed, they need support. We all need support. I know. Is that answering your question at all?
No, it does. It does, and it brings up good points. And the thing that keeps me, when I feel down, when I watch all this and go, oh man, that I am seeing actually a lot of young progressives running for their local districts. They're not necessarily, not all of them are necessarily, under 30. Some of them are in their 30s and 40s or whatever, but just progressives are running. Progressives are going, the hell with this. I'm not waiting for them to fix it. The Democratic Party is completely corrupt. So I'm going to just go in and change this. And that's what gives me hope, is so many more people getting involved, and like all of these teacher strikes are really, they're getting results, and they're getting results in red states. Yeah. And like that makes me go, okay, it's not going to get fixed overnight. It might take 5, 10, 20 years, but if everybody just like stays on it and gets involved and just keeps asking questions and going, wait a minute, that's bullshit, and we got to fix this. And no, I'm not I'm not making any sort of deal. I'm not acquiescing. I'm not going to kind of, purity tests, like Kamala Harris said, we can't have purity tests. Okay, sure, bank lady.
I mean, there's another point to this. Is one thing that I was saying, that we get very comfortable in our own lives because maybe we don't have it bad right now. Well, if we keep doing what we're doing, and if we keep allowing these corrupt politicians to get into power and to be bought off, you know what? Maybe your child will have a tough go of it. You know, maybe it's them that's going to be drinking the lead-tainted water. Maybe it's not you right now. So, you know, you just have to think a little bit more long-term. And I think, you know, we've got this corrosive individualism going on, and we have to have everything right here, right now. But I want to believe that somewhere in our human history, we kind of planned a little bit better. Maybe I'm completely wrong in thinking that. Or maybe it's just this consumer culture that we have that has sped things up. But I just don't think, I mean, not all of us, but a lot of us aren't happy, you know, and there's a reason for that. I just think that we could be happier if we just planned out a little bit and thought about not only ourselves, but our community. We have to start thinking more community-based and a more community approach to things instead of, well, I got mine and my kids have mine, so I'm good.
No, it's you corrosive individualism. What a great term, because that is what has happened in America, is that I got to just get mine, and YOLO and whatever is just, you know, and it's like, swipe right or swipe left. I mean, it's just like, ugh.
Right.
It's pretty disheartening. But again, for me, I look to the people that are doing what you're saying, which are going for community and are talking about we versus me. And I think all we can do is just keep doing our respective shows, keep having conversations like this, and keep trying to get people to wake up.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for being on the show. Please check out Amanda on Actify Chat. I've been on it. It's a really cool show, and it's another one of the independent media voices that you should be following. So thank you so much, Amanda.
Yay. Thanks for having me again.
And thank you, everybody, for watching.